Okay, so welcome to the RPA parenting webinar. Obviously got Stuart Hogg and Ian Whitten. Just saying then it's probably the first time we've ever had a Englishman, Irishman and Scotsman jokes or any references to that as well. But it's great to have the boys on the calls, obviously from Exeter. Stuart's played for Scotland and British Lions, as you know, and Ian's been a mainstay at Exeter for a while, and obviously had an Ulster and some Irish caps as well. Welcome, gents. Thank you ever so much. Obviously, you've got Craig on the call, who's the development manager at Exeter and Gloucester, and myself, Matt Leake, who's the development manager at Bristol and Bath as well. So we're going to talk about parenting, open eyes, just for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and the boys' experiences of it. And the challenges and any advice they have as well. So, Stuart, I'll start with yourself, and also going through it, and then just tell us a little bit about yourself and your family background as well.
Yeah, so I'm Stuart Hogg. I was brought up in a small town in the Scottish borders called Hawick, which is the best place. I'm sure Craig will agree with me there. And yeah, I was brought up in a rugby family, mum, dad, older brother. And now live with my wife and 3 kids down just outside Exeter. So pretty hectic times for us all. But it's the best feeling in the world being a parent.
Fantastic. Thank you. And Ian, over to you as well.
Yeah, so I grew up in a big family myself, 3 brothers and a sister, which I'm the oldest. And now since I got married down, James, my oldest, and then I've 2 twin boys as well. So yeah, I've been around kids quite a lot my whole life, really. So quite used to that.
And well, I'll mention me. I'm a father of 1. I've got an 8-year-old. A little bit different. I'm a non-resident parent, so my little boy lives with his mum a lot of the time. We split 5 years ago now. So it makes things a little bit, can be interesting. Some good points and bad points of that. I'll pass on to Craig as well. Obviously, Craig's
Craig Townsend, development manager with Exeter and Gloucester. I've got two young boys, actually, 8 and 10-year-old, and they're pretty energetic. So the challenges at the moment are homeschooling, which is tough. But I'm a lot more relaxed about it this time, as I was in March. But they're just pretty hyper. But love them to bits, and it's the best feeling in the world, seeing them happy. So yeah, it's good. So I don't know if I'll kick off, maybe, Lucky, if that's okay.
Yeah, you crack on.
One thing with the 3 of us have got in common, actually, is moving quite a distance to further our careers. You 2 have moved down to Exeter, and I did it, many moons ago to further my career and stuff. And you move into another support network, but the one support network you maybe move away from is your family. How have you guys found that and coped with that? Being so far away from some of your loved ones and your family.
Actually, I felt a bit guilty at first, if I'm honest. I think for me, I was kind of concentrating on, albeit a family decision to move down here. That involved Jill and I, along with our 3 kids, but we didn't really appreciate how much hard work and effort we got from the grandparents. And I did actually feel a bit guilty when we decided to move down to Exeter, because we were moving away, 400 odd miles to where we used to be. And we don't get to see, my parents and Jill's parents as much as we'd like. But think of the last year, obviously it's been difficult for everybody. But yeah, I think it's brought us closer as a family. We have to work a lot harder to maintain the happiness of our 3 kids. Obviously, with them being what are they now, 5, 3 and 2, it's pretty hectic in our household. But yeah, like everything, we're learning on the move. We're adapting to different circumstances that have been chucked at us. But everything's a challenge in life, and we enjoy it. We tackle it front on, and my wife's an absolute superstar. I don't give her enough credit, I don't think. But yeah, she's absolutely outstanding. She deals with everything and allows me just to kind of go on and progress with my rugby and concentrate on that. But yeah, she takes a lot of dirty nappies, as you could say, and a lot of other things that come with it. But she's a legend. Fair play.
Very good. And you, Whit?
Yeah, so similar to Hoggy, I mean, yeah, my wife does a fantastic job, obviously, because you do miss the grandparents and you miss that help. And then different to Hoggy, our boys were born when we'd already been over here in Exeter. So, you know, you appreciate grandparents or whatever coming over to help. And, you know that the good thing as well is always there's an extra to Belfast flight. So that's helped. They're forever jumping on that or whatever. Also, you know, FaceTime or whatever like that, to back home just to see them on a video or something, remind the boys who they are and stuff. So do a fair bit of that as well. But yeah, Aaron does a lot of hard work because we're obviously out of the house quite a lot as well.
No, it is a challenge with not having the family close by. And have you got good networks? I suppose the support from club and friends and neighbours will be quite strong for you both, is it?
Yeah, 100%. I think we've been very fortunate in where we've decided to live. We live in a new estate in Ottery St Mary, and only after kind of lockdown started to ease, we started to meet all our neighbours. And you know, I was a bit nervous about when I first moved down because you know the housing kind of street that we were living in, you know, half the houses at the other end weren't finished. And the reason we bought in the street, thinking, oh no, there's going to be, you know, kids left, right, and centre, you know, fairly large properties and you know a lot of bedrooms and stuff. Surely there'll be families. Before we went into lockdown, we hadn't met anybody, and there's no kids going around anywhere. So I was a bit nervous about it all. But after it started to ease, you know, there's kids going up left, right, and centre. I was like, right, we've picked the right place, and we got really close with our neighbours. And like everybody, you know, we've not had the support network of the grandparents. They've been down a couple of times, but just the kind of close knit kind of group of friends that we've got within the street has been outstanding. And you know, the kids are at a very similar age. They've all got the kind of same interests, so it makes it a lot easier for my wife and I. You know, there's people that are from Ottery or nearby that know the area that help us out, or we've got some people that have came from different parts of England, so we're all kind of in the same boat. But it's been very, very enjoyable, and as I say, it's a chance to meet new people, new friends, create memories. It's been outstanding so far, and we found ourselves very lucky with the street and the group of friends that we've managed to get involved with.
Yeah, nice. And you, Ian?
Yeah, so similar to Hoggy, like, Aaron would have like a wee network of friends, that James, our oldest, they'll have kids the same age. So she's met them either through the club or through the wee school in the village here. We live in like quite a small village, so there's quite a close group that go to the school. Yeah, also big people she used to work with that have kids as well. So there was, before all this happened, a good network of people that she could get out with the boys and see, and go to like soft plays or cafes or even like play parks, stuff like that, meet up with them. And yeah, it's good for her, I think, and good for the boys as well to be able to just get out, and hopefully it all goes back to normal pretty soon now, and stuff like that can sort of resume and be a bit easier.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you, Matt.
No, I was going to say about yourself, Craig, as well. I was going to ask you, so when you moved.
I think that's probably the biggest challenge for me, actually. I'm a single parent, and we co-parent, me and my ex, but it's having that support network is a challenge, and especially the last few years. It is when the kids are under your feet all the whole time. You need to hit the patience button quite a lot, and I find myself, the odd bit meditation just to get myself back to normality, or get them outside to get the energy out. So it's it's just everything in moderation, I suppose. And especially at the moment, kids are a bit cooped up in the house, but and they miss their friends from school. So yeah, it's I think some Stuart and my parents would come down 3 or 4 times a year, but they've not been for ages, and I think they're missing that, So, and I'm missing that as well. Hopefully soon.
Yeah, I think for me, obviously very different to you guys. I think I spent a year in Worcester. I think I used to refer to that as going up north. So I'm, Bristol born and bred. But my parents are local. My little boy lives probably 20 minutes away, and we obviously got set time to see him. I think suppose the biggest challenge for me around that is having that pressure, or having that time where I've got to see my parents, his grandparents at certain times. You see them every other weekend. You kind of, as much as they're great, and then once you kind of feel a little bit obliged, when you've got him, he's got to see his grandparents, and he's got to see other family during that time, because obviously they don't get to see him. I think I'm always conscious and a little bit worried about that, and about having that connection, even though they are literally 5-10 minutes down the road. And that's probably the thing that weighs on my mind, I suppose, as well, because you do feel when he comes to see you, thinking, he's got, as much as he loves his grandparents and family, sometimes he must go, go to Nan's house again, or Granddad's house again, which he loves, but sometimes you think you feel a bit, you can't really make any other plans, I suppose. So I suppose my next question is obviously the obvious as well, and sort of, I know you're kind of going through that, or just past that dirty nappy stage now, both of you, but maybe on occasions as well. But I suppose going back to when children were first born, and how were you worried? Were you, what's the positives and the negatives around the first, just before the children born, first couple of months, obviously as well. What's the good and the bad points of parenting, I suppose? That's all three of you. Who wants to start? Ian?
Well,
on the spot.
When you were saying about nappies there, when you have twins, you have a lot of nappies. Like, we have a nappy bin upstairs, and it gets emptied every day. So that's, it's just, or that's what it seems like anyway. So I think I actually feel like I was fairly relaxed about it when it was first got to becoming a dad. I didn't get too stressed about it in the lead up to it. I think Erin, she read more about it than me, but I think you sort of have to learn as you go. Any sort of best laid plans you might have, I mean, they tend to just go out the window when the baby's crying at 2 in the morning, and then 3 in the morning, and then 4 in the morning. It's just, everything goes out the window then. You sort of just have to take it as it comes, or as it goes. Sort of figure out wee things that they respond to. At the minute, if the twins aren't great at going to sleep, at 7 or 8 or whenever we put them down, so you have to put like a wee moonlight on for them, and they'll lie down and watch the moonlight, and then they'll go to sleep that way. So there's wee things you learn as you go along that you can't ever really plan for and stuff. It's just, I think experience helps, and trying not to get too stressed about it as you go along. That's what I would sort of say about it.
Yeah. And you, Stuart, as well?
Yeah, fairly similar to what what's this saying. I think the biggest thing that I learned about when the baby was here, so Archie, who's now 5, he was born in November 2015, was when he was first born. I found out that I'm a lot deeper sleeper than what I thought I was. And you'd never ever say to your wife, from experience, you never say to your wife, I actually slept all right last night, didn't I? And she turns around and says she was up 4 or 5 times because he was screaming the house down. So that's one thing I did learn, was just wait until Jill says, how she slept, or how the baby slept and stuff, before you then comment. But like everything, I think you just learn and adapt on the move. Like, we had Olivia within 15 months of having Archie, and then George came around 22 months after that. So it was pretty hectic times, but like I'd say none of the kids have been the same. Like, Archie was really quite chilled out when he was born. He didn't really scream. He wasn't too bad. Olivia would have a little mump and moan every now and then, and she would only kind of cry when she needed something. And then George has just been an absolute riot. He's been mental, but unfortunately, the poor little bugger, he had a hernia. He was born with a hernia, so that's why he was in as much pain early doors. But like everything, I think when Archie was born, like, we were completely oblivious to what it was like to be a parent, and we had to learn and adapt on the move. I think, as I said earlier, Gillian was absolutely outstanding, but I kind of still had to concentrate on playing rugby. I think Archie was born on the Thursday, 6.5 weeks early, so he was in special care for 2 weeks. So that was a kind of scary time for us all. But then, I think in terms of learning and adapting on the move, were absolutely clueless on what we were doing. You know, we'd forget about simple things like getting a food shop in, and those are little things like that. So we ended up getting takeaways pretty much every bloody second night. So I ended up 10 kilos heavier than what I am at the minute. So you do learn on the move, but the key for us is getting a routine. As soon as we got a routine sorted for the three of them, like Whit says, with the kind of moonlight for them to fall asleep, we've got kind of grow clocks that, you know, hopefully they're going to bed now. We've got a good routine going that, you know, 7 o'clock on the button, they're in their beds after having their books. So, you know, touch wood, they've been all right so far, and they're not allowed to get up or leave their room at least until 7 o'clock in the morning when their grow clock goes from the moon to the sun. So they're at a stage now that you can kind of give them little reward stickers or whatever if they manage to do that. And obviously a treat come the end of the week. So it's amazing what actually works. You know, for a bar of chocolate, they'll stay in their bed for a long, long time. But you learn and adapt on the move, and that's the beauty of it, is that no two kids are the same.
No, they're not. They're not, are they? I think that's a good point, the routine thing. And you're talking about your bedtime stuff. I'm quite strict to my two, and they're, even though the oldest one is going to be 10 soon, they're still in bed at before 8, and they don't get up before 7. So, and I've been quite straight with that for ages. A weekend I'll let them stay up a bit longer, but I just think they need their sleep. So, and it gives me a couple hours a night as well, just to switch off and plan a little bit for the next again day. But the routine is a big important thing for me. I think it helps them with their school and everything, really, and what helps me with my life as well as a dad. So, but yeah, expect unexpected as well. But I've always been pretty chilled with it. So, but I don't know. I always said when I went from 1 to 2, 2 was about 4 times as bad. But Whits, when you went from 1 to 3, it must have been about 10 times as tough. But
it's terrible shock you get from the say there's 2 there. I mean, it's hard to believe, but yeah, no, the best thing about it, I'd say, is as well, like especially with twins, is watching how they get on with each other. You know, don't get me wrong, there's still a good bit of fighting and biting or whatever, like, but also, you know, they're good wee mates, and that's very nice to see with twins. You know, just how they get on with each other, how it's going to be hard for James, because I remember when I was, you know, with my brother, I was always bigger than him, so you know, I could always bully him around, but James, there's 2 of them against him, you know, so he's going to have to fight harder, so yes, that way.
Mate, my daughter's the boss. My daughter's the boss in the house. She's the middle child, mate, but she's got the other 2 wrapped around her finger, as well as her dad. Well as her dad. I had to plug my laptop in; it's not charging.
Can I ask right, Ian, on that? So when you've got the twins as well, and if you're on your own, this is just a general question, I suppose. If one's crying or one needs a nappy change, and the other one's stuck, you literally have to learn just to block one out. Because they always say, as soon as that baby starts crying, you know, you always like deal with it. And the other, I can imagine the other one going, you've just got to learn just to take your time. And I suppose, say we used to it as well, with the kids being quite close in age as well. I can imagine that was very similar. You know, one's going, then the other one's going. That would stress me out straight away.
It's very hard in the middle of the night. You know, if one wakes up, that's all right. If they're both up, you know, that's when you call for help. Basically, that's what you have to do. Yeah. And but it's amazing, like, you know, Hoggy says about how deep a sleeper he is. I mean, we have the twins, both of them in the same room. Their cots are very close to each other. If one's up, absolutely roaring the house down, the amount of times where the other one doesn't wake up and sleeps right through it is unbelievable. Wow. Actually very helpful.
That is tough.
I think similar to me, I think you just said about routine. I think following advice as well. I think as much as great, we, you know, going back to it, I did probably feel like I was a proper grown up when I had, you know, my dad. It was the first time I felt I was grown up, I think. And you go to the support groups, which are absolutely great, but for me, I think it was worrying because you got other people saying you should be doing this, or you should be swaddling, you shouldn't be swaddling, you should be putting him on this, that, and the other. And I think sometimes you can get so for me, you get so much information. You know, I don't read manuals at all with the best of times with simple stuff, let alone people giving you parenting books. And I'm thinking, there's no chance I'm going to read, you know, go through this and read this. And I think that's what I was worried about. I was thinking, I was worried about, you know, how am I going to be, even as a teacher, you know, I was a teacher at the time, and I was thinking, oh God, how am I going to look after this? I got advice from this. My mum and dad saying this. I've spoken to someone, a colleague saying that, and it's just in the end, all that information sometimes can get too much. I suppose it's just filtering out and following your own path, really.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's a challenge. How do you? Obviously, you both are in quite physically demanding and mentally challenging jobs. You know, being a professional athlete. How do you find it when you've had a couple of hard days of training, when you get home, and that period when you get on, you obviously want to love your kids, but if you're drained from a few hard days, and is your recovery on the bouncy castle in the garden, or what do you get up to? How do you feel?
I think for me that the best thing about having Jill and the kids, especially the kids, like obviously Jill understands rugby and knows when things have gone well and when things haven't quite clicked for me, but the kids are oblivious to it all, which is the best thing, because they'll love you no matter what. And I think every single day I go in the front door, drop the kit bag off and start playing with the kids, because no matter how bad a day you've had, as soon as you go in the door, you have to kind of park it and forget about it and start being, a husband and a dad again. So I think I've found it. I think I enjoy my rugby a little bit more now than I did, pre-kids, because I have the ability to switch off. And as I say, as soon as you go in the front door, you've got more jobs to do. You've got to, entertain or tidy up or, cook some dinner or whatever it is. But I absolutely love it. I look forward to going home every single day. I think, other than Jack Yendall at the club, I think Whitten and I are probably one of the last out. We're just very, very professional in our approach to looking after our bodies. Ian, isn't that right?
That's right.
But as soon as we get home, we've got jobs to do, and I absolutely love it. I think, to see the kids, put their little Exeter Chiefs jerseys on or their Scotland jerseys on a weekend, it's just an unbelievable feeling. I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I think for me, it's allowed me to grow as a person, as a player, purely by having, other challenges outside rugby. And I say challenge, the kids at times are challenging.
Yes.
But it makes you grow up. It makes you, be a man. And, as like you said earlier, it's the first time you felt like a man. I think it'd be the exact same for me. But, sometimes I get, too engrossed in what the kids are up to in terms of what they're playing. And Jill looks at us as having 4 kids. She adds me into that kind of bracket as well. So I love it. I love it. I love winding her up about it as well.
Good. And you, Whits?
I will probably Wednesday afternoon. That's usually, we've had 3 full days training by then. Me trying to keep up with all the young fellas. Wednesday afternoon, and that's probably my low point, in terms of being a bit wrecked, like. And then I think, like Hoggy says, sort of when I'm energetic, like, sometimes, I think as well, if you're struggling a wee bit, just get them to the park or something, or somewhere outside, take them down to the river or something. They can throw a few stones in the river, something simple like that, like to do, that doesn't involve too much effort for you. Those kind of things, if you are having a bit of a tired day or whatever, there's like wee things, like I say, bits of experience. There's things that you can do that are easy for you and good for them, like kind of thing.
Yeah, good for your recovery to get out as well and clear your head as well on a Wednesday, Thursday, if that's your half day on a Wednesday and Thursday day off. So,
well, the older you get, the more you just need to keep moving, and yeah, do that. Like,
you're not that old, Which, you're only 31.
No, well, 33. It doesn't get easier. Like, let me tell you.
But the least injured person in Premiership rugby history, seemingly.
I don't know about that. Yeah, I'm getting pretty old.
Not at all. And Matt?
No, I was just gonna follow on that. I just said about ripping up the parenting books and stuff like that. But I suppose, my last question would be, if you had advice for a player who's expecting or expecting to become a dad or parent, what would your advice be to either just that prep beforehand, or what's your words of wisdom, boys? That's what I was going to ask.
I think just be yourself. You know, for me, you know, you could be told X, Y, and Z, the parenting guide, and you know, for me, I said to Jill that I was never interested in going to these kind of classes beforehand, because you know, you could be told, as I said, numerous different ways, and I respect people's opinions to go to them and you know what have you. But for me, I was just like, look, our kid's going to be his own little person. We just have to learn and adapt on the move. We can't, you know, there's certain things, you know, we were prepared for. But yeah, just be yourself. Like that at the end of the day, it's the best feeling in the world, you know, to have a little one, you know, in the family. And yeah, it takes your mind off absolutely everything else, because you know your first priority is your family. And mate, honestly, if I could have a million kids, I probably would. Like, I'd love them. They're brilliant.
All with Devonshire accents.
That's my only bugbear at the minute, right? That's my only bugbear, is that my kids are sounding English. And we've only been here, 16 months, I think it is. So obviously Archie's now into reception year at school. Another two have been going to nursery as well. So they're coming back from there, and Archie's, you know, fully English. Olivia's fully English, and my only good thing at the minute is George is only 2, so he doesn't speak. But no doubt he's going to have an English accent as well. But you know, when Big Johnny Gray arrived at the club and he came out to the house and he's like, Hoggy, these kids, what's up with them? I went, what do you mean? He's like, they're sounding English. And I went, well, Johnny, if I'm being honest, I'd rather it sounded English than Glaswegian. And he went, what? And I went, well, there's my point right there, mate. He was the best pleased with that. But yeah, my advice for any parents is literally just be yourself, and you'll learn on the move. It's as I say, no kid's the same. So you know, I've got 3 and they're all completely different, and you just have to adapt to every single one of them. So but yeah, you'll enjoy it. It's absolutely amazing.
So are you Wits as well?
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with what Hoggy's saying there about being yourself and just enjoying the ride kind of thing. But I'll probably add as well, just try not to get too stressed about things. I mean, you do need a fair bit of patience at times. You know, the other day I walked in the door and I was kicking Lego blocks around. I was like, for flip's sake. So I tied them all up into the box. And then I walked into the kitchen, and all I heard behind me was a big crash of Lego. This jacket picked the box up and just tipped it out again. Like, so it's like, you gotta have a fair bit of patience.
You can't exactly say that Ian's become stressed with having kids, because he's had grey hair since he was about 15 years old. I remember watching Ulster back in the day, and he was grey hair. So it's not the grey hair now from the kids. So it's not you know, jumping into that.
Rugby stresses me out.
But yours turned grey and mine's fell out.
Yeah,
that's why I retired before I was 30. I kept it.
Yeah, it's just that golf game of yours must be easy now, is it?
Yes, it is. I'm due you a free lesson, you both, for this. I think the one thing from me is I just really try to be present with the guys, my boys, and switch off my phone and not have any distractions, because I think any little time with them, if you can give them full attention, they really value that. So if you're with them, be with them properly, and don't get distracted. It's easiest for us to flick through the phone these days. So I tend to switch mine off for a bit when I'm with them. So which is nice, and I think they really value that. So
yeah, I agree. I think for me it sounds, which I love parenting. I think, you know, my best advice would be to definitely get a holiday with your other half before, you know, the baby's born. Definitely, I think looking back, just that's the last time you're going to have some peace and quiet for a hell of a long time. So I think, you know, looking back, you probably make the most of that. And I agree with Wits. I don't think you understand the parenting until you kick over a Lego model in the middle of the night, and you stand on a bit of Lego or a bit of Playmobil, and that definitely wakes you up as well. So just make sure you make a space to either the bathroom or the kitchen in the middle of the night. But probably says about my my midnight snack habit there definitely as well. So maybe I should learn from that. But no, gents, I just want to say thank you very much again for doing this and talking. I hope it's helped parents. I hope it's helped some rugby players. Yeah, just want to say a massive thank you. If any players need to talk around this a little bit further, obviously contact your development manager, and we can find you a suitable support network and go from there. So just want to say massive thank you to Craig, Stuart, and Ian for all their great insights tonight.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.